Hello, everybody, and welcome to this May forecast. Welcome, welcome, welcome if this is your first time watching one of these from me, and welcome and thank you for coming back if you have been watching these before or for a while. So my name is Charlotte Alea, and I am switching up the name of these forecasts just a little bit. And so from now on, I'm going to be calling them growth forecasts. Because, as you know, this is not a typical forecast. I'm not telling you what's going to be happening this month. What I'm really revealing is the opportunities that we have to grow. So what energies are present for all of us in the collective, in our community? As since you're watching this, you are now part of my community. So what energies are present for us, and then how can we work with those energies to be able to deepen into our own growth, our expansion, and our own healing journeys? So welcome to your May growth forecast. All right, so before I dive in, I just want to say for a moment, oh my gosh, April. Oh my gosh. April was really intense, right? And if you watched my forecast, you know I talked all about rite of passages and confronting some of our deepest patterns and releasing what we needed to let go of in order to clear the way for something really new. And I have been doing that like crazy in my personal life and in my business. I have a brand new business name. I went from Dream Intuition now to Big Beautiful Breakthrough, which really honors my passion and my purpose for helping to guide and facilitate breakthroughs for all of you. So deep, profound personal breakthroughs that guide you to the essence of who you are and what you want to do in this world. So I went ahead and made that huge change. I have a new website up and running, bigbeautifulbreakthrough.com, and I have a new gift actually. I have crafted a new gift for all of you, included if you're just watching this for the first time, anyone in my community, and stick around to the very end of the video because I will share a little bit more information about that gift at the end of the video. So May came really, really quickly. That's why this video is a little bit later this month than they usually are. I was like, on Monday, I was like, tomorrow is May? Really? Tomorrow is May? All right, let's do it. Let's do it, May. All right, so I am going to, let's dive in. Yeah, so let's dive into the energies this month. I'm going to hold up each of the cards so that you can take it in individually, and then I'm going to hold up all three cards together in the end after showing them individually, and I'll tell you why after I do that. All right? And as usual, I am using my Mary L. tarot deck, which is my numero uno tarot deck. I use this for majority of my own personal readings and for the readings I do for the collective. All right. All right, so take a moment, take a deep breath, and let it go. Feel the ground or the seat beneath you. And just close your eyes for a moment and take another deep breath in. And exhale. And just allow yourself to be fully present in this moment. And honor yourself for being present in this moment with me. Tapping into the deep mysteries and the deep resonance of your own being in your own journey, in your own healing process. All right. So, card number 1. The Moon. Next card. Empress. And final card of the month, the Lovers. All right, and let me hold those all up together. I'm just going to do it this way for you. See if I can show them. You know what? Nope, I'm going to do it. Yep, I'm going to do it that way. All right. As I fidget here, and all right, there we go. So as you're looking at these three cards together, allow them to begin to tell a story. What does the first card, the Moon, say to the second card, the Empress? And what does the Empress card then say to the Lovers? What does the Lover say back to the Empress? And then what does the Empress say back to the Moon? And just allow your intuition to speak this to you. Anything that's coming through, it doesn't need to be logical, doesn't need to make sense. It can come through in feelings, it can come through in words, come through in symbols and images, physical sensations. Listen to the spaces between the words, between the images. This is where your intuition lies. All right, so the reason I was holding them all up together is because I got a very, very strong message when I drew all three of these cards together. And as you notice, they're all major arcana cards. I got a very strong message that they were not to be read individually, that they weave a very, very cohesive story and message, and that none of them stand on their own alone. So in the past couple of months when I've been doing the readings, I've been going from kind of one card to the other. I can do that a little bit, but what I am really feeling is that they tell a story going forward and then backwards again. So we're going to read the story going forward this month through the cards, and then we're going to read the story going backwards as well. All right. So I have my notes right here. I'm just going to be conferring with them. So the story that these cards and these energies tell together is all about healing the mother wound. All about healing the mother wound. And as you know, every month these readings are just tapping into the deep, deep recesses of our relationships. And as you know, if you watched my January forecast, I talked about how relationships were going to be so key this year, so important, that we're really radically transforming our relationships. And so this month, in the month of May, in the month of the Empress, of growth and of spring and of blossoming trees and plants and beauty, we are going right to the core, to our relationship, to our mother, our maternal mother, our birth mother, whatever maternal figure raised us, whoever that might be, whoever served as a mother figure for us in our upbringing, in our childhood, and into the way that we mother ourselves, into the way that our relationship with our own internal mother, which then will really, really begin to shift and transform the relationships we begin to have with others. So I also wanted to mention that this reading is not just for you if you have and always have had a highly fractured or toxic relationship with your mother, if you are holding very close to the surface, from some really potent mother wounds. Okay, this is not just for you. It's also for you if you consider the fact that you've had a really wonderful relationship with your mother and you might be really, really close to your mother. Okay, so we all have a mother wound. It I am not just talking to one end of the spectrum in this video. We all have a mother wound. And the reason why we all do is because we, at one point, were not separate from our mothers. And then at another point, we had to gain separation. We became a different person. And this is birth mom and not birth mom, okay? I'm not just talking about being in the wound and being physically the same person. I'm talking about being a very, very small child and not having our own separate identity and really identifying with the person that gave us love and with the person that we then gave our own love to. So as we become a separate person and begin to actually be a separate person and be very radically different personality aspects, have radically different needs, have radically different ways that we express ourselves in the world, we, as human beings, we always go through this in a really imperfect way. There's always going to be some wounding there because we're human. When we're very young and we're separating, we still want to be like our mom, or we want to be who she wants us to be, because that we know is how we will be receiving her love. All of us at some point need to be able to let go of those old rules of love that we've been holding on to our entire lives. This is who I need to be in order to be loved. We need to let go of those old rules in order to create new rules within ourselves of how we desire to mother and be mothered, how we desire to be in relationship to our own creative, nurturing, mothering life force within ourselves. Okay, so let's go into the story. So we're going to look at, you can consider the story of these cards this month having an inner dimension and an outer dimension. So we're going to weave the story in the inner dimension first, which is going to come to the external dimension, the outside dimension, and it's going to come back. So let's explore the inner dimension. So which begins with the moon. We begin our journey this month with the moon. And the moon is a deeply internal card, deeply internal, and takes us into the experiences that lie in our earliest memories from childhood. Often the darker aspects of our childhood that we have kept hidden from ourselves, and these are the shadow aspects that we are now shining a light upon within ourselves. And specifically, we are going deep into the recesses of our memories, into the deep recesses of our unconscious, and finding our original relationship to our mother or whoever was the mothering figure for us growing up. And so as we're doing this, we're being kind of pulled and drawn into this inner dimension, inner exploration. You may experience yourself as being rather moody. You may experience yourself as being rather emotional. You may experience yourself as being really tired or just really wanting some kind of downtime and alone time. So things kind of feeling a little bit slower. So those are all indications that things that are deep are either surfacing or ready to surface and are ready for you to look at. And so they need your kind of private eye and your solo time to look at them, because they're not ready to come fully and shined out into the light, into the public. And so you are needing some alone, private, sacred time with yourself to explore that through drawing cards, through journaling, through any kind of creative, expressive methods, through meditation as well. Okay, so honor this pull. Definitely honor this pull, which is taking you into that original relationship to the mothering figure in your life, and really looking honestly and with new eyes at that relationship. And so that brings us to the Empress, who is that OG mother, right? And so as you come into really looking at that relationship in a new way, there are 3 questions that the Empress is when I was sitting with these cards, there was 3 questions that the Empress was asking for us all. So the first question, and if you have a notebook and pen, I would write these down right now because they are really deep and they're really going to open up a lot. So that first question is, what didn't you receive that you needed? What didn't you receive from your mother or from the mothering people in your childhood that you needed? What didn't you receive? So sit on that question and write on it. You can write it down now. You can pause the video if you'd like and do it now or save it for later. Second question. What did you receive that you didn't want? What did you receive that you didn't want? Deep breath. Exhale, write that question down. Come back to it later if you'd like. Third question. What did you give that you didn't want to give? You can phrase it as, what did you give away that you didn't want to give away? Or what did you give that you didn't want to give? So all of these questions tap into the ways that you acted in a certain way that you thought that you needed to, or you made sacrifices that you thought you needed to in order to receive the love that you needed and that you wanted at that time. No matter how perfect on the surface that relationship has seemed or imperfect, there's always going to be something that we didn't get that we needed, something that we did get that we didn't actually want, and something that we gave away, that we didn't want to give. So these questions might bring up quite a bit of pain from the past. And if they do, that is very, very normal. The journey with the moon can definitely surface some pain, some sadness, some anger. And so allow yourself to simply alchemize. And when I say alchemize, I mean feel and be present. Allow those emotions to run through you because they are needing to go on their own journey for you to begin to journey towards the realization of the needs of your inner child. Because since you needed those things back then, you also need them now. Nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed, well, something significant actually has changed. The relationship to yourself now can change. But the needs of your inner child has not changed. So when we tap into these questions and we tap into the deep recesses of emotions that those questions, the answers to those questions release, we often come into relationship with the aspect of our inner child that we have kind of shoved aside. This is often the sort of darker, more shadowy aspect of our inner child that we often criticize. So for example, this might be the part of you that you say, oh, this part of you, oh, so controlling and so nitpicky. Or this could be the part of you that's like, oh, so insecure. Why am I so insecure? And why can't I ever make a decision? Why can't I ever commit to anything? So those kinds of things that you continually run up against within yourself and that you know kind of belong to a much more like younger, insecure part of yourself. So you're coming up upon that aspect of you actually, and the reason why she behaves in those ways because of what she did receive, or gave away that she didn't want to. Okay, so we have an opportunity now to begin radically transforming that relationship to ourselves. And so we come to the lovers, all right? So the lovers this month, as we journey to that last card, is really about making a commitment and a choice to be in a different kind of relationship with ourselves. As I mentioned before, we can see the relationship to that deeper, kind of darker aspect of our inner child in this card, the light and the dark becoming married. And so being able to rejoin with this part of yourself and making a choice to give her what she wants, to give her what she wants, to give her what she needs. Now that we're all grown up, we don't have to have someone outside of ourselves give us what we need and what we want. We have the capacity to do that within ourselves. So as we come to then the end of the row, we went this way and now we're coming back the other way. So we're shifting now to the outer dimension of being able to take full responsibility for our needs. And this is key. Really knowing that, okay, so since I didn't receive this, then tapping into, I need this. This is what I need. I didn't receive it before, and now I'm going to get it. I am going to receive it. And then going to that second question about receiving something that we didn't want. And having that be a beautiful boundary. I am not going to let anyone give me this. That is a full stop sign. That is a boundary I'm putting up for myself. That I am not going to be receiving that from anyone else or from myself. And then the third question, which was all about giving away and giving something that we didn't want to give. And that's another beautiful boundary that we're now ready to build for ourselves. That says, I am not going to give this away to anybody except myself. I'm going to keep this for me. So making the choice right now and taking full responsibility for getting those needs met. That is the aspect of the lover. It's really being able to it's really about acknowledging that we have a choice. Once we become aware of the choices that we have already made, we know that we can change it. We know that we can make a different choice. And so you might be recognizing right now when we tap into those deep patterns, those deep needs that we had as a young child, the ones that we didn't get met. You might be tapping into the fact that you have been trying to get those needs met in your external relationships. Right? So into some of probably your most intimate relationships with your romantic partners or your good friends or your mentors and your teachers. So those most powerful relationships in your lives, and recognizing where you're giving away your power, where you're trying to get something met that actually needs to be met from the inside first. So as we're then shifting back to the Empress, coming back the other way through these cards, the Empress is telling us that I do not need to receive these things or not receive them. I do not need to go outside myself in order to be loved. That I can provide all the love that I need from within. I don't need to give this away to be loved. I don't need to sacrifice this to be loved. I get to be loved and have loved regardless of what I am giving away or receiving or sacrificing. I love myself regardless. And so as we're moving through the outer dimension of these cards, we're beginning to then shift our external relationships. And we're beginning to come into those relationships with non-negotiables. Non-negotiables. So non-negotiables are things where we say, this has to be met in this relationship in order for me to stay in it. And so we're really exploring through this process what needs we can meet within ourselves, what needs we can meet in these types of relationships, and what needs we have to have met in that relationship versus that relationship. And we're taking full responsibility for it. So when we have these non-negotiables, if we come into a relationship, say it's with our intimate romantic partner, and we have a need, and we know that this need needs to be met from the inside first, and then also from the outside, from this person. And for somebody, right? We need to mirror what we are being met from the inside on the outside. We need to receive that same kind of love. And so if that person, then if we come directly into that relationship with that non-negotiable, and we express that need directly and vulnerably, which I know is a challenge on its own, because we do need to make ourselves highly vulnerable through this process. But in making ourselves vulnerable, we're being courageous and we are loving ourselves. And so it ends up being an actual really, really gift in itself, just standing up for ourselves. So in standing up for our needs and making them non-negotiable in our relationships, that person might say, nope, I can't give that. So then we need to make another choice. Do we stay in that relationship and decide, okay, I can get that need met in a different way? Or do we say, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore because I needed it from you, right? So we begin to then really take responsibility over all our choices. All of the relationships that we choose to be in end up being fully embodied and conscious by us. Sometimes our romantic partners will be able to meet a need, and sometimes they won't. So this is the beauty of this process. We really begin to explore, like, sometimes it's okay that they can't meet that need. Sometimes that is perfectly fine, and sometimes it just isn't. And so this isn't just happening in romantic relationships. It's happening in all the different types of important relationships in your life. Really being able to define what you need from those relationships and asking for it. Inviting that person in and asking for it. And in most cases, when that person is important to us, when we ask for it directly, compassionately, vulnerably, the other person meets us. The other person will meet us. And so through this process, as I was kind of sidetracking before, through simply doing this process, we are re-loving ourselves because we're putting ourselves first. We're putting ourselves first. Simply by being non-negotiable, we are embodying our mother, our own internal mother, and our internal daughter at the same time. We are joining them together. That is the essence and the expression of the Empress. And through that unified force, then we can nurture and create and grow anything into existence through the process of love. And we're really going to be nurturing the relationships in our life in a really, really wonderful way, where we're coming from a place of loving ourselves first, and then allowing that love to spill over into our relationships, making them even more intimate. So then as we come back around to the final energy this month, to the original energy, whoops, not that card, to the moon, which starts us off and ends up being the first and the last energies that we explore. So as we're coming back then to the moon, we are coming back into mystery. So this is where we began by going deep, and we end it by really contemplating the depth of what we're doing and really being able to sit in the mystery of it. Because this is what happens often when we are making huge shifts in our external worlds, in the way that we're relating to others, in the way that we're relating to the choices we're making. Those choices, those external choices, have deep reverberations. So the inside reflects the outside, and we saw that through the beginning of the process as we went inside to then see how the relationships that we're still holding on to deep within us are actually impacting our external relationships. And the outside also reflects the inside. And so this is how we end up seeing it at the end, except that with the moon, we don't always see it. As you're making huge shifts in your external relationships, you are changing the story within you. You are changing the internal story. Just because you cannot yet see it, just because your mind can't wrap itself around it and can't quite trust it or believe it, that does not mean that things haven't shifted. Every time you make a new kind of choice where you are honoring those deeper needs that you uncovered, you are making a huge shift on the inside. It is being felt deep, deep, deep within you. Whenever you make a choice based on love, it is felt deep, deep within you. So just trust that. You're not going to be able to maybe see the fullness of the impact that you're making yet, but you will. The moon says often that things might need to remain in mystery for a little while, but it does make a difference. All right, so that is our forecast for the month, our growth forecast for May. So just take a deep breath, and how does all that resonate with you? Just let it to kind of trickle down through you. It is deep, big stuff that is going to kind of create waves. And so you might already be feeling the kind of waves of it and feeling a little bit tense, a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious. And when we begin to dive into these deeper energies, oftentimes that is our first reaction, is our ego starts to get a little bit anxious about the changes coming our way. All right, so just take a few minutes to breathe through that right now and know that everything is going in exactly the right direction and that you are exactly where you need to be right now. So I have a wonderful new gift for you, for my community. It's called the 3 Steps of Inner and Outer Transformation, or 3 Steps to Inner and Outer Transformation, rather. So this is a video series, 3 videos over 3 days when you sign up, where you're going to go through the 3 steps. The first step of uncovering your purpose, the second step of awakening your intuition, and the third step of discovering who you really are. So I created this series because I wanted you to experience the practices that I do on a regular basis, on an everyday basis within my own intuitive work and in my own personal work. So the ways that I keep myself evolving and changing and growing into being more and more of who I am and living and expressing the essence of who I am. So these are the practices that I do every day and that make such a huge impact in my own life and the impact in my clients' lives. So I am so excited for you to check this out and be able to kind of go on a little bit of a journey with me and to explore the next steps of your own transformation process and to perhaps break through whatever roadblocks you might be experiencing at the moment. All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you again next month. The link below to sign up for that series is below, and you can also find it by going to bigbeautifulbreakthrough.com. All right. Have a wonderful month, everybody.